Greetings, friends. Crew member of our beloved, polluted, and unique spacecraft, which, since the last time we met, has taken another turn about its imaginary axis and, of course, continues creating events in full development. And indeed, there's something that we must always take into consideration is the presence of the president of the White House, from President Donald Trump, who now wants to make history, and that's something good, it's healthy. After winning World War II, the theater operations of the Pacific and Europe particularly, the forces of the States had to flee Korea. And that's why they have to repeat this, because the winners of World War II had the most shameful retreat by the four-star generals in Korea. And that is why North Korea and South Korea are well divided in each one of the maps, even with different colors on parallel 38. And we must have this clear and repeated as many times as needed. There isn't any peace treaty there. There's only an armistice. So President Trump, who is trying to make history, however, as we know, the commander-in-chief will use this for peace, then everything will be fine. There was a bit of information about this, however, that's something different. Okay, but now let's talk about what is ours. Let's speak about the topic that has been the most important one during these days, because whatever it comes from is something that we need to applaud. Let's take a look at the events in full development. And those of you who are old enough will remember how dramatic the Korean War was. So here the two of them are, in a very interesting opportunity of amending certain things and also carry out some things that were necessary. Trump signs a comprehensive document. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the sister of leader Kim Jong-un, Kim-on, and then Kim Jong-un and President Donald Trump having a sit, everything that represents how this. And now apparently this camera is moving too much. They probably don't have a tripod, however, they are there. So we're signing this important document, a very comprehensive document, and we've had a very good time together. We have a great relationship. I will hold a press conference at 2:30 in less than 2 hours. And we will discuss this extensively. In the meantime, on behalf of President Kim and myself, you will receive the information. We feel honored of signing this document. This gentleman is the grandson of Kim Jong-un, and it's the third generation in command. In this nation, where events took place, where they defeated the defeaters of the Third Reich, and then they also had some problems in Vietnam, but they didn't learn. Either way, some conclusions were drawn. And Kim, listening to his interpreter, said, "We held the historical meeting, we left the past behind, and we are about to sign a historical document." And this sounds good. Then asked, "What do you expect of this?" And he said, "The world will see an important change. That camera is never still." Seems like they are newbies, the ones working with the camera. So then they're listening to the interpreters. They need some time to translate. I would like to express my gratitude to President Trump for allowing this meeting to happen. They shake hands, and President Trump says, "We are starting this process very quickly." Of course, the cameraman is inspired. And this is very important. Specifically because this was an armistice and not a peace treaty in the 50s, in the afterward of World War II, and it was very costly for the United States. Trump says, I will see you later. We are very honored what happened today. Our relationship with North Korea and the Korean Peninsula will be a very different situation to the one that we have today. In the past, things have taught us something, and we want to do something. We're doing something, and we have developed a very close link where people will feel very impressed. People will be very happy, and we are going to take care of a very important and dangerous problem for the world. I would like to thank President Kim.
Everybody on both sides, Secretary Pompeo and
I have expected a lot, and this is much better. Different news reports that I have seen today, even better than what anyone could have foreseen. And this will lead to a better and better relationship. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you, all the representatives here. This is, of course, very good news. And we need to remember that this also entails a lot of blood. Once again, there wasn't a peace agreement after the Korean War, and after that they even had Vietnam. So there's barely a line on Parallel 38, which is an armistice. Now, finally, they're trying to fix things. President Trump has committed to provide assurances of security, and Kim Jong-un showed his irrevocable commitment of denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula, as stated in the statement. Trump said that he expects the denuclearization process to start very, very soon.
I want to thank Chairman Kim. We spent a lot of time together today, very intensive time.
After that, we're going to listen to Dossier. And as the General Secretary mentioned, letters before the summit, this road requires cooperation and overcoming from both parties. And we need to understand that we are closing with very strong links. Everything was set loose after the War of Korea. And Trump said that he also wanted to express his gratitude to President Moon from South Korea. He has been working with that. And I will speak to him right after we are done with this. As mentioned by the Secretary General in letters to both leaders before the summit, there is a need to cooperation, commitment, and a common cause. Implementation of current agreements and agreements set before based on the statements. The camera is crazy because all the cameramen are usually fighting. This is what usually happens, sir. This one, however, is in the symmetrical axis. And here, there's an exchange of information and hands being shaken. There was also a statement of the General Director of Atomic Energy, who was also committed for the support of the International Organization of Atomic Energy if required. Trump provided statements, and before him, the spokesperson of the United Nations to the Secretary General Stefan Dujarric said, as pointed to the Secretary General in letters to both leaders before the summit, this path requires cooperation, commitment, and a common cause. The implementation of current agreements are on the conformity of the needs by the Security Council, and this will require patience and support from the community.
Of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Mr. Amano, who also pledged IAEA support if called upon.
He urges all parties to take advantage of this transcendental opportunity, and he is willing to support the UNCUR's progress. Based on this, Donald Trump, of course, had to add something individually with his own statement. I would also like to thank President Moon of South Korea. He is working very hard, and I will be speaking to him right away after we're done with this. Prime Minister Abe from Japan, friend of mine who just left our country, and want what's right for Japan and the world. He's a good person, a very special person. Former President Xi of China, who has closed the border, maybe a little bit less during the last few months.
Maybe a little bit less so over the last couple of months, but that's okay.
Really, what he has done is extraordinary. He's a very good person. He's a friend of mine. I greatly for his people. I would like to thank them for their endeavors to reach this historic day. I would like to thank President Kim for taking the audacious step towards a bright future for his people. Our unprecedented meeting, the first one between a president of the United States and the chairman of North Korea, shows that a real change is possible.
Proves that real change is indeed possible.
My meeting with President Kim was honest, direct, and productive. We got to know each other in this short period of time.
Tremendous 24 hours. We've had a tremendous 3 months, actually, because this has been going on. There is no limit to what North Korea can achieve when it
There is no limit to what North Korea can achieve when they denuclearize themselves and accept the commitment with the rest of the world if they really want to be committed. Chairman Kim has before him an opportunity to become the leader that started a new era for his country of prosperity.
Chairman Kim and I just signed a
statement jointly where we affirmed the commitment of complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, vigorous negotiations to implement the agreement as soon as possible.
His representatives and
And then he added, I want to bring back our soldiers home.
We have right now 32,000 soldiers in South Korea.
We have right now 32,000 soldiers in South Korea, and I would like to bring them home. But this is not part of the correct equation. Now, at some point, I would like it to be. But now we're going to stop the war games. This will save us a great amount of money. And until we see that the future negotiation is not working as it should, we will save a great amount of money. I also reckon that this is very provocative. Yes, we did it. It will be verifiable. It will be verifiable. Another journalist asked, how, Mr. President? Well, it will be achieved with a lot of people there, and as we develop some confidence, we believe that we have done this with Secretary Pompeo, who's carried out an excellent job, and while we do this, we're going to have people there. We'll be working with them with many other things, but this is a complete denuclearization.
He actually mentioned the fact that they proceeded down a path in the past.
He actually mentioned the fact that they proceeded down a path in the past, and ultimately nothing happened, as it's well known. In some moment, they took billions of dollars during Clinton's regime, and nothing happened. This was something terrible, and we have never been so far. I don't think that he has ever had the confidence they have today in a president to get things done and to do these things. He was very firm in the fact that he wants to do this, and I think that he could also would like to do some more. We see a bright future for North Korea, so you never know. You never know. But let me tell you something. We signed a very comprehensive document. I think that the majority of you have been given a copy. We signed a comprehensive document, and our expectations are based in this document. And as soon as I land, when he lands, that's going to be shortly, he's going to start this process right away. Then he was asked if he is going to alleviate sanctions. He says, you know that scientifically I've been observing and reading a lot about this. It takes a lot of time to reach a full declaration. It takes a long time, scientifically. And you need to certainly wait for a period for things to happen. But once the process starts, you cannot stop it. These are good news, and this will start very soon. I think this will happen very soon. And we're going to do it as soon as possible physically.
As fast as it can mechanically and physically be done, Steve.
And the sanctions. What is the immediate next step? Is there some ongoing?
Then he answered,
The sanctions will come off.
the sanctions will come off when we are sure that nuclear weapons are no longer a factor. Then there will be changes. An important role will be played. And I hope that they will be withdrawn soon. As you know, sanctions remain. But at some point, I would like to withdraw sanctions. They will learn a lot from us. We know that we are down the road where things will happen.
The model that he would like to go toward.
Well, you have a different administration.
Well, you have a different administration, you have a different president, you have a different Secretary of State. And, you know, it is very important for them if we do it. The other groups maybe weren't a priority for them. I don't think that they could have done, even if it was a priority for them, honestly. But it would have been easier. It would have been much easier if this would have taken place 10 or 5 years ago or 15 years ago. I'm not only blaming President Obama. This goes back 25 years. This should have happened. I was given a very strong hand. And President added, the deal with Iran was made because nuclear is always number one with me. This is related to Iran. I think that Iran is a different country than it was 2 or 3 months ago. I don't think that they are now interested in the Mediterranean. I don't think they're looking for Syria as much as they were before. I don't think that they are so sure right now. But I'm looking for the timely moment after sanctions are applied. Sanctions are brutal, the one that we have applied to Iran. I hope that then they will agree to negotiate a real agreement, because I would like to do it, but it's too soon.
It's too soon for that.
Why are you so comfortable calling him?
Otra pregunta dice, no dejé nada y estoy aquí.
I
No he
didn't
dormido en 25
leave
horas.
anything, and I am here. I haven't slept for 25 hours,
Estamos negociando
but I'm here because we have negotiated all day long with Young and Mike, a group of people with a lot of talent, but we haven't said anything. And I said that I have accepted to me that the meeting was good for each party, both for the States and Korea.
Every bit as good for the United States as it was for North Korea. But
Otra pregunta dice,
Then answering other questions, countries cannot continue taking advantage of on trade. The numbers are out over the last couple of years. Over the last couple of years, the country has lost $800 billion in trade with other countries, and the biggest one is China.
sigue el ping-pong de preguntas.
More and more questions.
Nos reuniremos la próxima
Yes,
semana
we
para
will
transmitir
meet
desde
next
el
week to
Secretario
start the
Pompeo,
speaking about
con
details
nuestro
with
equipo,
Secretary
nuestro
Pompeo,
equipo
John
para
Bolton,
repasar
and
los
our
detalles,
team
para hacer
to
todo
go
lo que la
over the
agenda queremos que
details
se
to
haga,
carry out this
él quiere
agenda.
que se haga,
We want this to
también
happen, we
estamos
want
trabajando
this to
mucho con
happen,
Corea del Sur,
and we are
con
working with
Japón,
South
con
Korea,
China,
with
en
Japan,
Noruega,
with
pero estamos
China,
trabajando con China.
a little bit less, but we are working with China.
But we're working with China.
A otra pregunta que vuelve sobre China.
Then
Dice,
another
"Creo
question
que
about China.
a pesar
He
de mi
answered,
relación con el presidente
I believe that
Xi,
China,
un hombre
despite my
que
relationship with
siempre
President
gran
Xi,
respeto,
who
también
I
me
have
gusta
a
mucho.
great
Sabe que estamos
respect for,
teniendo conversaciones muy
I
duras sobre
like this
comercio.
relation. We're having
Y creo que
very
eso
tough talks
probablemente
about
afecte a
trade, and I
China.
think that this could affect China somewhat.
Do
But I have to do what I
De
have
alguna
to do.
manera, tengo que hacer lo que hay que hacer y creo que en los últimos meses la frontera
And
fue más
I
abierta
reckon
cuando
that
que
during the
cuando
last
comenzamos, y
months, the
eso es lo que
border
tenemos que
is
hacer.
more open than it was when we just came, and this is what we have to do.
As an example, they have great beaches.
Como un ejemplo,
As an
tienen playas
example, they have
estupendas
great beaches.
que cada vez que están explotando sus cañones
But
en el
every time
océano,
they blow their cannons in the ocean, I said, look, take a look at this. This will be a great condo. And this could be a great change. You could have the best hotels in the world. Think from this from a realistic perspective. You have South Korea, you have China. You own the middle, so how bad could this be? This could be wonderful.
Bueno, estuvo explícito, fluido.
Well, that was what he said. Democrat leaders in the Senate mentioned that Trump's agreement is very concerning with North Korea, and it's not precise at all, according to Senator Jackson. It's vague and unverifiable. This joint statement is vague and unverifiable in the best of cases. What North Korea has achieved is tangible and long-lasting. Senator Lindsey Graham mentioned, I don't think that canceling war games would be important through time. The only thing I don't agree with is that the elimination of our troops. I cannot believe that we can vote for an agreement that would force us to withdraw our troops. Dianne Feinstein. It wasn't specific, and this wasn't seen by the press. It wasn't clear. And Senator Cory Booker said, I wouldn't call myself concerned. I would call myself alarmed. This is a leader has been strong, but this was not part of the conversation, apparently. It has been out of the table. There are many details that don't speak well of this. This doesn't mean anything beyond that a photo session and an initial press conference with very general terms. Charles Grassley, Republican senator, he said, I hope that he is right, because as low were the tension as it could be in this part, then it would be great. But I could not convince myself of this. Each one of them provided their statement, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, we of course support the continuous efforts of the President of North Korea. We want to see detail of the agreement about Trump. We're going to defend jobs for Canadians and our interest for trade. He is the son of a great leader. And this is China. This is the Chancellery. This is always before any statement. And the People's Republic of China speak about Korea and their states and the achievements made in the summit. And based on this, there's an hotel where many of the workers were there. Hotel Capella has been mentioned there. Maybe because they'll get some discounts. But back again, there's President Trump getting down the Air Force One. This means that one of the plans has been fulfilled somehow, but China embraces the achievements of the meetings between North Korea and the United States, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China in a statement published on Tuesday. Now, based on the events for both Koreas, this is a progress one way or another. There isn't any negative readings to these. Fostering the nuclearization for the Korean Peninsula. China appreciates the leaders of Korean states for making the right decision. The force of Israel takes people away from their houses once again.
Aparece viejo conocido, el vocero de la
The
policía.
spokesperson of the police, Mickey Rosenfeld, someone we know. He is the one that shows his face and tries to make things better. Rosenfeld interviewed because the police continues evacuating or evicting activists, and the spokesperson said the Israeli force is carrying out an eviction in El Azhar neighborhood, Neidah Labot, based on a judicial order that took place several months ago. So far, Israeli force has evicted 14 out of 15 houses. There are 100 police officers working with care in order to avoid wounded, but we will not take any risks. We're going to deal with the situation to complete with this eviction later on.
At the moment, the Israeli National Police have evacuated 14 houses out of the 15. This is the last evacuation that is taking place. In the area, there are hundreds of police officers that are working carefully and cautiously to make sure that there won't be any injuries, but at the same time we're not taking any chances.
Bueno, aquí están haciendo algo para cumplir con
Here
las
they're
Naciones
doing
Unidas, ¿no? Las fuerzas de
something
seguridad
to
expulsaron
comply
este
with the
martes
United Nations.
colonos judíos de 15 casas que según el
Who
máximo
took
tribunal
Jewish colony
fueron
out of
construidas
15 houses that,
ilegalmente
according
en
to the
tierras que no son de
court,
Israel,
were
sino de
built
Palestina
illegally
y de propiedad
in lands
privada.
that aren't Israeli but Palestinians and private property, protection for the eyes. And based on the order of the Supreme Court, the 15 houses that were part of Nitiv Habab were established without the authorization of the Israeli government will be demolished in the following days. Most countries consider this a problem that is not solved. However, this seems like a good gesture to avoid illegal settlements of those from the ultra-right wing that want to expand their lands by taking the lands of Palestinians. And it has happened very, very often. So what do we have? We have nothing new or nothing that is not part of our circuit blocks. So we're going to continue with a short break. And we'll be back with more events in full development. Stay where you are. We'll be right back.
We are present at every event where our nations are staring. We believe in a new global vision, united in every broadcasting. We keep expanding our horizons and working on a closer and better communication. Now, in Grenada, Telesur, the new source from South America and the Caribbean.
Alguien me contagió en la comisión de salud y yo le contagié a todo mi equipo. En la comisión de salud, claro. Como dice, cuchara de palo en casa de red.
Creo que el presidente.
Monsanto se ve entre un buen sector de los agricultores como una gran amenaza.
Hay un montón de gente que se va a España a trabajar, a otro sitio a trabajar. No tienes que estar aquí siempre para que ayude a tu pueblo.
Desde entonces estoy buscando a mi nieto. Por gente liberada, he sabido que es un varón. Hace poco ha cumplido 6 años. Alguien lo tiene.
No somos simples estudiantes que venimos, entramos, escuchamos la clase de un profesor y después nos levantamos y nos vamos, sino que entendemos lo que pasa y sobre todo tenemos que ser sujetos de cambio frente a lo que pasa y tenemos que tener un rol en nuestra educación y en nuestra sociedad.
Reportajes Telesur. Sábado.
We are back with more eventful development. Some of them demonstrate the reality of this asymmetric war that we have. We're going to carry out a request, and I'm going to request the next medicine, Rapamune or Sirolimus. I'm requesting these two medicines. Whatever person or institution has this medicine, please call this number 0058 41 222 48621 0058 41 222 48621 or email vladimiradr@gmail.com. After saying this, I would like to honor as much as possible, and I try to remember the things that I find in my library. They're all friends that are no longer there, however I do find their works. I would like to pay tribute to a very important journalist and man of culture, as well as a professor, Héctor Mujica. And The Empire of the News is the translation of his book, El Imperio de la Noticia. And every journalist, either a student or graduate, should read this. This is a small book, actually, but it has a lot of information. Héctor Mujica was born in Carora, Estado Lara, on April 10, 1927. He was a philosopher, journalist, researcher, writer, politician, and professor that came from Venezuela. We spoke many, many times in Nacional de Puerto Nuevo, Puerto Escondido. He is the son of Pastor Oropesa, a pediatrician of Venezuela. And since young, he was an intellectual of the militant party. He was also presidential candidate in 1963 and president of the party in 1990 to 1991. He was undergraduate in philosophy at the University of Venezuela in 1951. Journalist, graduated in the first promotion of journalist of the University of Chile in 1956, with other studies in universities of Paris and Rome, professor of journalism of the School of Information and Opinion Journalism of the Central University, a school where he was the director since 1958 until 1964. Professional journalist since 1944, where he started publishing in the papers El Nacional. We met there. I had the honor to meet him there. We shared a lot. There he was the heir of Diario de Caracas, El Universal de Caracas. He was also a reporter for El Nacional that was especially in scientific and international information, with all things. Héctor Mujica had health problems and died at 74 in Mérida on February 15, 2002. So we remember him with respect and love. But now, we are proud and full of joy to present the statement of the Bolivian Army for Dossier. 38 Velas Latinoamerica's cruise, Tuesday, June 12th, operational activities. Training ship Alfa Bravo San Bolívar, Bravo Eco 11 for the 38th cruise ship Velas Latinoamericanas is now sailing on latitude 18 and so this is 20, so it's above parallel 20, of course. And for this cruise, 75 nautic miles from Sama to the Republic of Peru. During the day, there were different works, as well as formal lunches with the cadets. Formal diners are the ones that are shared, however, with the etiquette that an officer must always hold in a circumstance as this. And of course, you must show how you should behave socially whenever the moment is right. because often they also have to become diplomats and military attachés. So they continue with the activities, with maneuvers, fulfilling the Simón Bolívar study plan. Weather conditions, cloudiness, and rains, but not here. Precipitations here have changed. Actually, there are 20-knot winds, waves up to 1.8 meters, and good visibility. Navy glossary, acuartelar, which is to look for a sail on the Barlovento side. So it means to pull a sail and get it towards a position in order to face the condition of the winds. Jorge Eliezer Carrianza Torres, Anton Mejía Ponte, commander and captains, and guard officer and coordinator as well, Marco Frachel Arandia, commander and manager of the Bolivian Army. So good luck, bravo Eco 11. As you know, we have an old relationship of affection, and I'm an honorary member of the crew. Thus, I've had the chance to sail and sleep, and also have some very interesting occasions. Training ship always has something to do. You never rest. It's the exact opposite to a tourist cruise. And of course, this is how it should be in order to train our future Marines. So let's continue with eventful development. We're going to continue with the second part of our dossier. So we're going to share the events, the last events that have taken place around the world, that will be very important for their protection. So let's pay attention to this. UNHCR expecting for Lebanon to change the decision of residence permit for its workers.
Their place of origin, or is it another part?
Mirel Girard, a representative of the UNHCR, where are they coming back to? To their place of origin or another place that would be Syria? So why are we asking this question? Because we want to trace them back at their return, and our work will not be over when they cross the border. We are the refugee agency. That's why the other half of our mandate is to look for a solution for refugees in order to stop exile. And this means a lot of work that we must do before and after they come back. After that, people must become integrated to the place where they go, and they need to be appropriately integrated to their society.
This return, but we are trying to make sure that at least they leave with.
We are not organizing their return, but at least we're trying to ensure that they will be equipped with all the documents they require, so that their arrival will be eased and to facilitate their life when they return.
This is a collective approach.
This is a collective approach. In the United Nations, there's the greatest goodwill. There are donor countries, and we're all part of the response. We need to explain this, what we try to do here. Under any circumstances, people are discouraged to go back. We actually do the opposite. We encourage them to find options and to help them while they're here, and then look for solutions for the majority of them. However, there's a shelter, everything is improvised, but whatever there is support, then international organizations try their best, even though the situations are ideal. Children have a place to play and to sleep, regardless of the difficult situation. They have food and water that are completely necessary, in hygiene as well, as long as these organizations can help them. The Refugee Agency of the United States, United Nations HR, not from the United States. What they sent is wrong. It's the United Nations, not the United States. I expect the Foreign Affairs ministers of the Lebanon to freeze the request of the agency for their personnel. As explained by the spokeswoman, that continues with the values of the organization. Abraham Semester from the first ordered to freeze this after accusing the UNHCR of obstaculizing the refugees of Syria by spreading fear. And these are very strong words. The Lebanese government wants Syrian refugees to start returning to their homes. However, the United Nations mentioned that all the 1 million refugees cannot return. Regular workers of France who attack offices to protest against the reforms of the government. They occupied a mall where the offices of the railroad company SNCF, which is the national system of railroad members of the Union of CGT, and driver shouting in the speaker, and without violence but with a lot of noise, looking for the vindications required. Entry blocked by the police, offices of the railroad operation, people in the building regardless of this, workers showing their point of view, and people watching from the balcony, some of them whistling to express their opinion. This is a fight. We'll be there till the end. The legislative agenda is it like it is, and we're not expecting any indulgence from senators. We know they're following orders. This is basically a senior center. This is not a surprise, but we will continue with our agenda because this is the Republic, a continuing Republic. This is the Macron Republican Party and the agenda for workers and interests, not for these customers. We're going to look for the interest of the workers until the end. Leaving the building and continue with the strikes. There's a lot of smoke. 200 railroad workers took over the offices of the Railroad of France in a continuous reform of plans to reform the state company. Take a look at the modern sculpture. A beautiful picture. Police state that the person who took hostages in Paris was apprehended. Officers and firefighters with robots to fight them in case of an explosion, and dogs. A lot of tension in these times. So neoliberalism starts taking their quota, and these are the consequences it takes with elite police, with the commands, firefighters down the streets, firefighters there. They are the firefighters, well, they're all there. And they are the forces that are inside the building with firefighters and police officers in the street with security vehicles and state-of-the-art technology. So the police saved 2 hostages and apprehended 1 person in a small company of a company Paris after requesting that they wanted to speak to the Iranian embassy to send a message. The individual has been arrested while the hostages are no longer in danger, according to the Minister of the Interior on his Twitter account. No further details were added about the age, nationality, or others of the kidnapper, and his demands were vague and incoherent, according to one of the workers of the Ministry of Interior. The negotiator did not clarify what he wanted, but still said tension movements in the capital of France, Paris, and the troops were there with a great deal of command. And the situation of refugees is as strong here as it is in Spain. This is Valencia, Spain. Vice President Regional Valencia. Both pregnant women and those with health problems, we know that there are also burned people on board and people who were burned due to the exposure to the sun. They're speaking about those who were able to cross the Mediterranean Sea, no, not about the disappearances. The Commission is informed that health centers will increase their schedules and the paperwork for identification. The Supreme Court of the Valencian community will authorize these days to have a greater number of courts. Then we're going to listen to the mayor of Valencia, Joan Aripo. I think that all of us can face the humanitarian challenges. All of us together, we must say that we don't agree with the policies of some European states that break laws, the most elementary laws, and we want to say and state clearly that Valencians are proud of being who we are and being different than them. The press conference in full development. Here she's arriving at the place and with Rigo. To start with a round table. So this is based on the temperatures of the day. However, the agenda is quite hot. Jose Vicente Herrera Riboy and Doltra as well.
Ultrayana Barceló,
Minister of Health of Barcelona, and the Regional Service of Valencia said they will reinforce health services to bring 629 migrants that will arrive at the port in 3 or 4 days after that they have been adrift since Sunday. A very, very difficult situation. The workers there, who said that planned trips to Spain are dangerous. This is the humane drama of the ones that were the colonies, because the South Eastern Sahara, what is it, and the other colonies in the Mediterranean for the other powers of Europe. Here's where they are, what they left behind them in Africa. Today, it looks like something they wanted to sink in the past, but now it flows as a cork, and this is the humane and cultural responsibility of what they left behind in the former colonies. We have informed Spain and Italy that all the maritime authorities that are currently communicating with Aquarius that this circumstance show that the people in this boat, it will be insecure for the crew. And we need to travel from this post to Spain, according to Nicolas Tala, a health supporter, worker of the Mediterranean. He said, theoretically, we could only do this type of trip. We have a small number of people, those who could be hosted within a particular space. However, those who are in open spaces, because they expect weather conditions not to be deleterious, but however, they will deteriorate during the following days, mainly in uncharted waters, as the ones that we will see in Spain to face this. Shoes on the deck to try to dry them by the sun, and the Zero Weapons report. Migrants take a look at the sea with hope for a new life for the rest of their lives, and they try to find the shorter distances to do so. However, this has taken already too many lives. The aid support in the Aquarius mentioned that the trip planned to Spain would be too dangerous for an overcrowded ship. Bin Xuan will visit China, and the spokesperson of Chancellery mentioned in today's press conference this happens very often. This is the 4th visit of President Morales to China and his 2nd state visit to our country. During the visit, Xi Jinping will have a banquet welcoming him, and both will witness the signature of a cooperation document. Prime Minister Li Keqiang and the President of the Assembly, Li Sanxu, will meet with President Evo Morales, and China and Bolivia have moved forward with the relationship during the last years.
La cooperación económica y comercial ha sido constante.
Economic and commercial cooperation for culture, education, sports, science, and technology have been fruitful, and both parties have kept close coordination for international affairs. Both parties have become a model for South-South cooperation of presence, equality, and solidarity, as well as mutual assistance.
Enviados del Papa llegan a Chile.
The people sent by the Pope arrive in Chile to ask for forgiveness to the victims of sexual abuse. I don't know how they could do this. Jesus Christ had the strongest words for those abusing minors. They should tie a rock to their neck and drop to the sea. This will weigh like 3 or 5 tons. This is shameful, disgraceful. Jordi Bartolomeo, sent by the Pope, had some contact, not something desired or expected. He had to say, "Good morning, journalist." And this was the answer of the members of the church. The Archbishop of Malta, Charles Cicluna, and Jordi Bartomeu, Bishop, live in the airport. What's the mission of the Pope? We're here on his behalf. This is the reason why we're here. Are you going to listen to what's saying to the victims, to the citizens? Yes, we're going to listen to their words. The problems with sound come from the source. Finally, these 3 resigns will be the only ones accepted by the Pope, or there will be any others. This is in his hands, but we need to expect that things will carry out fine. Managua, the capital, is calm, but since 3 a.m., the groups of the right wing have attacked the families of Jinotepe. Fights that have left behind dead and wounded, according to the authorities. They directly attacked the regional hospital Santiago of that city, creating terror and fear in the families. The Association of Transporters of Nicaragua issued a statement where they mentioned dialogue is the only solution for Nicaragua to stop its political crisis. They confirmed that no drivers have been attacked, but some units have been damaged in different municipalities. Due to this, they appeal to get peace back in Nicaragua. The evening of Monday, the opposition killed a sub-officer of the police and also wounded a major sub-officer. The population and police stopped the blockades of violent groups in some of the roads of the capital as well as the provinces of the country, even though some of them are still there. The Guild Confederation of Workers, José Benito Escobar, and the Guild Confederation of Workers of Free Trade Areas show their position of continue working and defending their jobs, because if this holds continue, they will lose around 50,000 jobs. There's something never seen before. Beyond the killed and wounded, an attack to the hospital, Santiago Jinotepe. Putin congratulates Russians on his day and ensures that everything will be all right. The future of the country is being built by wonderful people, talented people. Vladimir Putin mentioned this and has congratulated Russians in their National Day of the Day of Russia, and also honored certain citizens for their input for science, technology, and the development of the country. He mentioned that the foundation of the future of Russia are being built today by wonderful people and talented workers. We know that whenever there are architects, as the ones that we have honored, the future is ensured and everything is doing fine. This is a metaphor of the architecture of the future, works fine. This is a person that, of course, knows how to keep his prestige. He comes from the KGB, from the command groups. He has shown his responsibility, and I don't want to speak too much about him, but he has created a significant change, both quantitative and qualitative, for Russia. So here is the end of Dossier. We will continue tomorrow when our beloved, polluted, and unique spacecraft have taken another turn about its imaginary axis, and we'll be back here to tell you the small big story of the next 24 hours. From Studio 3 of Venezuela Televisión, VTV, the Douyin channel of Venezuelan Television, the air of TVN5 of Cerro Marin Charneca, where we started many decades ago. Here I close Dossier, the Doyen program of all the Western Hemisphere of international satellite information. This was Walter Martinez, producer and host, where you may be. Thank you very much for allowing us to be there with you. Director, the floor is all yours.